Welcome to our new episode. In this video, we'll be creating a sample POC based on the user registration app. Okay. Normally, when any developer will get a chance to any company, or when you enter into any project, they will ask you to perform certain POC kind of application. Okay. So this episode will help you out in that scenario. The main objective will be like we will have a user registration form. We will show the entered user and the update functionality and the delete one also. Okay, so all basic CRUD operation we are going to perform. So for now I'm using the same application this application I'm using for all the episode also. In that I have created user app folder. Inside that I have created three components. Okay, user list, then we have user register and user update. User list, we will use it to display our user list. User register to insert new record, and update to update the existing record. We won't be consuming any API. Okay, so for just storing data we will be using local storage or session storage. Okay, so let's check. I have created routing inside this application, so let's add a route for that. We'll need three path. Okay, so we have created three routes. One is for the user list component, which is having route name user list. Second for add user, which is been connected to the user register component, and third is update user, which is again connected to user update component. Okay, so let's add this route in our navigation. Let me remove this first one. Okay, first user list. It is just a normal navigation. Add user. For UI designing, we will just use simple basic bootstrap, not a fancy code. In this video we won't be saying validation, just basic operation we will perform. Okay, for update we don't need navigation because from the list we will navigate on that. So let's check user list. You can see user list is there. If I click on add user, user register is there. Okay, so coming back to our code now. User list. Okay, so first we have to decide what are the properties we are going to have in that user object. Okay, so let's create an interface. In app folder I'm creating one folder, interfaces. Inside that let's create new file, user, sorry, it should be .ts. Okay, inside that we will create export. We are going to create class user obj, and it will have like user id, its data type number. What is this error? User id is initialization. Okay, user id is there. Let's make it optional so that it won't throw error. To that, username, its data type will be string. Let me copy paste to save the time. City, state, mobile, alternate mobile. Okay, so these are the properties we are going to have in the user model. Okay, so we need to import it here. Let's say user list. We are in list component. Let's add an import statement for that because we have exported from user.ts, so we can use it here. Okay, so I have some plugin already installed, so it shows me error like this property has no initializer because it is just declared. So let's initialize it. Okay, what it is saying. Okay, because this is a single what we can say single interest. We need array. So this is empty now. Okay, so this is the array variable where we will be storing our array data. Okay, and same we will use to display in HTML. So let's now go to Bootstrap. From Bootstrap 3 we need just table. Let's take this code. Okay, sorry, we need some card. We will take the card example just to give a proper look and feel. Panel like structure we are going to have. Okay, so we don't need footer. Header will be like user list, and inside the card content we will show our table. So let us copy paste code. Okay, so these are the fixed, and this will be the fixed, like t8 is there. So let's for serial number. Okay, so save time I have created these are the fixed header which we are going to have. These are the properties which we have, and this is the extra th where we will be showing edit and delete icon. Okay, now we need to use ngfor directive to show the list we have in that variable. For is equal to, syntax is let what user of, we need to provide array variable name, that is user list here. Okay, now what are the columns we have defined at the heading, same we are going to have here also. So first, then use, so first column is like serial number, so for that we need to have index. So we can have that using let I is equal to index. Okay, so I will give us the index. So basically I will start with 0, so let's increment that with 1. Okay, next td, then make, we have to use of interpolation user dot. Now what are the properties we have, same which we have to use. Let me copy paste. After that, user city, state, mobile, and alternate mobile. Okay, so these are the fixed properties up till now. Okay, and last column is of action items. Okay, so in this we can have two buttons. First button, we'll divide class with button btn as same, so that button will be small, and btn, let's name it as a success. Okay, edit, let's have a second button to delete. Let's add a class to danger so that it will, or secondary, delete. Okay, so this is our normal for loop. Okay, now let's come back to our user registration form. Okay, so now again we can go to Bootstrap, pick up the some sample form from there. Let's check a basic example. Okay, so let's take this Bootstrap code. Okay, so we have decided that we will have a panel structure. So first we need card. Where do we have that? This is, we need one closing tag. Then inside body we will add our form. Okay, so title for this will be user registration. Okay, so let's remove unnecessary extra things what we don't need. Okay, so before first thing, like if we, because we have created user class and we need to bind that. Okay, so we will bind whatever the properties we have to this particular text box using ngmodel directive. So for that we need forms module in our app module. This is second step. Okay, so I have already added forms module here. So if this is available, then only you can use ng model. Okay, so we don't need id, square bracket, then round bracket, then ng model. Okay, let's first we need to import our class here. This is our class name. Let's add an import statement. Okay, because it is a class, so we need to initialize it also. Okay, so now user object. Okay, so with user object we are going to bind all the text boxes. With user object, this is first it will be for name. So same property which we have from our class, I will bind it here. We don't need input, it will be input type text name. I will complete it quickly. Okay, so we have created form. Okay, just to explain, like this is what is the code we have copy pasted from bootstrap side. What we have done is we have created object of our class which we have created in user.ts. Okay, so since we have created object, we can use this object to bind with all our input elements, like with ng model. So user object with username. Okay, so when we have ng model within our form tag, so we need to use name attribute. Okay, this can be this name attribute can be like this or any other, but it needs name attribute. Okay, so this is just simple. For state I have used select drop down and remaining mobile number and alternate mobile number, and we have one button save user. Okay, so let's check how this form look. Okay, so you can check like this is how our form will look like. Okay, if I go to the user list, this is empty now. If I click on the add user, we can see like this. Okay, now next is we have to add event on this save user click. So we need to add event listener, which is will be of type click. Save user will be our function name. Okay, so let's create a function. Okay, so in this function what we are going to do first, the basic thing is, like if you see here, user id is there. Since we are not consuming any API or we are not consuming any service, okay, so we need to what we can say device one logic to generate user id in an incremental way. Okay, suppose in local storage I have 2 records, so next user id will be 3. Okay, so for that what I need to do is like on ng on init, or let's say here only create one function get a new user id. Okay, in this function let's check like whatever the value we have up till now from in the local storage, we have to take that and we need to increment one value to that. Okay, let's hold records is equal to local storage dot. Okay, so we haven't stored anything, but I will cover it later. So from local storage, if you have some value stored in the local storage and you want to get that, okay, so we have get item. Okay, if you can see, for get item we just need one parameter, that is of type string, that will be the key by which you will be storing to the local storage. Let's say user list is going to be our key. Okay, just to apply null check, like if this is the first time we are running our code and we don't have any property declared in the local storage with this name, so code will break, right, if we are going to use old record dot something. So just to apply a null check on that, all right, not equal to null. If it is not equal to null, then what we need to do, again we need to parse it, because whatever we store in the local storage, it will be in the string format. Okay, so to convert it to the object format, we need to parse it. Const user list is equal to json dot parse method is there. For this we have to pass string value, so it will, if it is an array, it will convert it to the array. If it is an object, it will convert it from string to the object. Okay, so if it is that, suppose we have record in the local storage, then we will get the array in user list. What we need to do, we need to return user list dot count length plus 1. Okay, if we don't have any record till now, so simply we can return 1, because this is the first record which is going to be inserted, so obviously it will start from 1. Okay, so in user list, let's say now this is the function which is going to get us the updated user id, like what new user id which is going to be saved. Okay, so in save user id, when we can create one record constant latest id is equal to this dot get user id. Okay, so the record, whatever the value this function returns, it will be in the latest id. Okay, now we already have class. Okay, so what we need to do first, in local storage, when we are saving data, we need to get the whatever the records we have stored already in local storage, and then add one record to that array. Okay, then again save the all the array to that particular local storage variable. Okay, so for that we can use the same code. Okay, and again to add the check, we need this if statement also. Okay, so suppose like I have already user list in my local storage, so then I need to parse it also. Again we will need the same code. Okay, obviously we can create another function, but just for starting we are creating a sample project, so that's why I'm what I can say, repeating logic again and again. Okay, just for your understanding, like you won't get confused like how I'm getting the records, and like this the one function I have created, it is pretty simple. Like we are just returning value, updated value, and whatever the count we have in local storage, we are adding just 1 to that. If we have already some values in the local storage, we are just adding 1. If it is the first time, then we are returning 1. Okay, that is pretty simple. Okay, so with this user list, if we have the record in local storage, we will get the user list. What we need to do, we need to add record to this user list dot push. Okay, so push will add record to the end of the array. Okay, so this is our object which is connected to our form, this dot user object. After this, like this is a temporary array which we have right now. Again we have to store local storage dot set item. If you can see now, for set item we have two values, two parameters, key and the value. Key will be this only because we have previously used, then value will be user list. Okay, so if you can see, this user list is having type of array. Okay, but local storage, when we are storing data into the local storage, we need to store everything in a string format only. So for that we have to use json dot stringify method and passed our user list variable over here. Okay, so now let's add a debugger everywhere so that I will show you the code. This is done. Okay, one more thing, like we can write the code to get the latest record also. Okay, this is in user list component. So here what we have created, user list variable is created of user type and it is having array. Okay, so in ng on init we can get the data, like let's constant old, let's say records is equal to local storage dot get item, because we are going to get item from the local storage, same key which we have to use. Okay, let's add a null check, records is not equal to null. Okay, you can use this also or this also. If you add a triple equal to, like, it will just check the data. I mean, it won't if you have the two equal to only, so it will check only value, but if you have the three equal to, it will check value plus data type also. Okay, so it's a best practice. Suppose, like, if we got the record, then whatever the record we have got, we need to append it to user list. Okay, so if you can see here, error, user list string is not assignable to type of object user object, because whatever the value we have got from the local storage, it will be in the string format, so we need to parse that. JSON parse. Okay, so now if you can see, user error has gone away. Let's save everything. Okay, so open the console. Let's check demo Pune Maharashtra. Okay, on click of save, we have added debugger, so you can see the debugger is added activated here. Okay, so for this, now constant latest id we have used function, so now it will go to the for function. Okay, so here you can check, currently we don't have any what we can say key which is having the same name. So if you can check local storage, we don't have any key for that. I have multiple keys, but we don't have key matching to this user list, so we get null. Okay, so same check we have added, so if it is null, what we have written, one only. Okay, so you can check in constant variable latest one, we have one. Okay, okay, we missed one thing, we didn't added, we didn't added. Okay, this is coming undefined. Okay, so we forgot one thing. Earlier what we have done is, like, at the time of initialization only we have declared it, at the time of declaration only we have initialized it, but that is not helpful to us. That's why we have to initialize it in the constructor. This is the declaration and this is the initialization, because it was getting undefined. Okay, and one more thing we missed, this is the if check, like, if the record are already in the local storage, then this is that if part. Okay, if record is not there, I mean first time. Okay, so for first time what we have to do, like, we have to create array constant, let's say user array is equal to empty. Okay, in that user array we need to push our object, this dot user object, then we need to store it in the local storage. Now what we need to do, user array here. Okay, so this is first if loop. If we have already record stored in the local storage, this is for second. Okay, one more thing, like this we have latest id we have taken, but we haven't added this to our object. User object dot user id is equal to latest id. Okay, so now our code is complete. Let's check it. Let's say demo 1, city Pune, Maharashtra. Okay, when we click on save user, let's check now. It will go to the get user id. Since we don't have any variable in local storage, so user ID, latest id is 1. Okay, so if you can see here, we have all the object apart from user id, so it will have user id now. So you can see the complete object with user id 1 and whatever the information we have filled in the prompt. Okay, so as we don't have any variable in the local storage, because this is the first time, so it will be empty. Now it will go to the array, Now this we have created empty array and we are going to push that to this variable. So now you can see we have array which is having only one record, okay, which we have created. Now once this line entered, we will have one variable in the local storage. Let's check it. Where is it? User list. Okay, so you can see the same data we have filled. Okay, now coming back to user list. Okay, the small code we have done. Okay, let's add a debugger here also. User list. Okay, so ngOnIt is the what we can say event callback when our component get initialized. Okay, let's check. So now user list is having string value. You can see double quotes is there at the first time because in local storage we have key user list. Okay, so what we need to do, we are parsing it whatever the information we got from the local storage by using that key, and same we are assigning to the user list. So now you can see we have array. If I press continue, you can see the user list is there. Okay, let's close the console and do one more time. Let's say Sachin is there, is from Mumbai, select state is Maharashtra, then let's add a mobile number. Let's save it. You can see two records are there. Okay, so now we have what we have done, we have shown the list and we have inserted record also in the local storage. Okay, what we need now, we need update. Okay, so on click of edit, what we need to do, we need to navigate user to our add user update user component, or we can use the same add user component also, because same thing is going to be there also, same form is going to be there, same everything will be same. Okay, so we don't need actually third component, but for understanding I have shown like we can use that also. So let's go with the third component only. Okay, so now coming back to our list component. So for edit, like we have to create one function, or else we can directly just use router link is equal to our path name for the update. Okay, so we will be sending parameters, so we have to do like this slash id, and from here we have to use this route update user. Sorry, it will be array. So this is our route, then second parameter will be our user dot user id, that will be user id. Okay, so let's check this now. Okay, so if you can see on the user list, when we click on the edit button, you can see the route update user -1. Let me go back, -2. Okay, so whatever the on which button or which record we click, that user id will be sent with the parameter. Okay, now coming back to second component, that is update. Like I have told you, like we will need the same code, but just like in many POCs they required for edit a different component, so we are just copy pasting whatever we have in user register to user update. And let's change the button name update. Okay, so now we have got query parameter like this. Okay, do we have any error? Yes, we will have a couple of errors because we don't have this much things. We can copy paste all these things there. Okay, so read that query param, we need to create instance of router. Okay, for that we need to import activated route. Let's private, let's say route is there colon activated route. Okay, once you select the activated route from the suggestion, it will add the import statement as well. Okay, so in constructor this dot route dot query param dot subscribe. Okay, result. Okay, now inside this we need to fetch particular whatever the query param 1 or 2 id we are getting. We need to fetch that right from the local storage. So we need to have, or we can just store our this dot router dot user id is equal to result. Whatever the query params we will have, it will be in the form of array, because we can send multiple query params. Okay, inside that what we need to do, what we are sending, like user id. Okay, I think we need to change our way how we are sending route. This is what our router link. Okay, and we have a separate directive, that is query m is equal to double quotes id is equal to user id. Let's check if this work. Okay, so let's send data like this, like with the router link, then first parameter as a route, then second as an object. Okay, so instead of one, let's say user dot our underscore user id. What is this? User id. Okay, so let's check now if it is working. I'll click on 2. It is going to the subscribe. So if you can see in result.id we have got the value 2. Okay, so it is going to it is going in the object user.user id. Okay, so first thing is done, like we have got the which parameter we have sent from the user list. Now in local storage, from local storage we have got the array. So it is just like we fetch the data for particular user from the API or the service, same like we are going to get the data from local storage. So we can just copy paste what we have written in add. Okay, so this is the thing which we need. User update. Okay, so if user is exist, then let's create a constant user list is equal to, we have to parse it, because we need to find particular array from this array, sorry, particular object from this array. Okay, so this dot user object, let's add one current user is equal to, so in user list we are going to get all the elements we have in this array dot find, because we want to find only one record. Let's add a condition. This is called lambda expression dot user id is equal to this whatever we got from the parameter. Why are we getting error? Okay, okay, it's just because I have some plugins enabled that automatically validate code. Okay, let's add a check to be double sure, like if current user is not undefined, then to this object we can assign whatever the values we get dot user city is equal to current user dot user city. Let's copy paste for all other properties. State alternate mobile number, name. Okay, so I think we have got everything. User ID is already present. Okay, so let's check. So we are in the same component. Okay, after the constructor get called, we have got the user ID, then ng on it get initiated, then we have got the record, but it is in string format, so we have to parse that. So if you can see in user list, we have the array where user to, you can see one, we have the record where user ID is equal to 2. Now let's check if we get the record. Okay, yes, so in current user you can see the record is here. So if it is not undefined, so it will go inside the if statement. So we have our object ready. Okay, so you can see. Okay, I think we have user. Okay, we haven't provided alternate mobile number for the second record. So you can see we have bind the record successfully. Okay, now let's add. Okay, we need to write logic to update the record now. Okay, so there are multiple ways like you can update, but just for a simple, I can say we have to delete the original one and then we can push the latest one. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so in update record, like we can use the same event. Let's rename that update user, and let's rename this event also. Okay, so to get the updated new record, new ID, we don't need this, right? Because we already have the user ID. We also don't need this because user ID is already there. Okay, so like this else block is also not required. Okay, but just like if someone accidentally try to hit the same URL with the query param, just to check like user is exist or not, we can have this check of whole record. Okay, so what we have got first we have taken the records from the local storage, then we have stored in the user list. Okay, so before that what we need to do, we have to remove the original array from this array, original element from this array. So let's do that. User list dot splice, and inside that we need to find particular record, find index dot, what is the condition, user ID is equal to user ID we have got the index, after that one record, that is what we have to remove. Okay, so we have got the record from the local storage to this array, then we are removing for particular whatever the particular query param we have got, we are removing that element from the array, then we are pushing the latest one, and then again we are storing to the local storage. Okay, so let's check out our code. Edit. So we have got the user. Let's continue. And you can replace 7799. Let's click on check update. Okay, so if in user list we have got the two arrays which is having user ID as 3. Let's check at the current user, it is also 3. So now if you check the user list, we only have the one record. Okay, so we have deleted the element which is having the user ID as 3. So there's use new user which is having the alternate mobile number like this. Okay, so we are storing it, and again we are storing to the local storage. Okay, so now if you go to the user list, you can see the updated record. Okay, so now let's apply the logic for delete also. So that delete, let me close everything. Okay, in user list component we need delete function. It will have one parameter that will be of type id. Let's add any. Okay, so same condition what we have used in the update, we can use the same one. Because we are going to remove one element from that array, and again we are going to store. Okay, so here instead of this we need to pass id. We don't need to this, and we need to call this function on the HTML. Click will be the event handler. We need to pass parameter, that is user.user id. Okay, now let me add a debugger. So let's check our code now. Okay, if I click on the delete, you can see we have got the parameter 3. We have taken the record from local storage, parsing that. Then user list has having 2 elements. Then whenever code run, user list will have only one record. Then we are updating it. Okay, now records are not updated because we have to get the latest record from the array, and again we have to store it in the this what we have done on the ng on init. After ng if condition, we can do this. Okay, now you can see like user you will only one record because page is reloaded. Let's add one more record. Maharashtra. Let's save it. Let's go to the user list. Okay, so if I'm clicking on the first one, you can see the record is being updated. Okay, now just little things like when I click on the add user, it should go back to the user list, and same as in the edit page also. Okay, so let's do that, so we don't have to again refresh or do anything. So on click of update, this dot router, we need router service. Okay, so from component, whenever the user is successfully updated the record, we have to navigate to again back to the user list. So we need router object. Okay, so this dot router dot navigate, and for navigate we need one parameter, that is our route name. Our route name is user list. Why it is giving error? Let's read it. Okay, navigate by URL, let's use it. Okay, so same thing we need to do in add also. This is the save user function. After done everything, we can write this logic. Okay, before that we need to create service. Let's copy paste this. Let's add an import statement. Okay, everything is done. Let's do a round of test. Okay, so when I click on add user, admin, okay, so you can see let's add a alternate number, update user also. Okay, so these are the whole things. Let's check delete also. Okay, so with this we complete the basic CRUD operation with local storage. Okay, instead of local storage you have to just write the logic of your API consumption with the help of HTTP client method. Okay, so in next video we will be covering that, like how we can achieve the same with actual API. Instead of local storage we can use the actual API. Okay, thank you.